Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Kecko, and Macron Sports Hub Adelaide are ready to provide your club with all its teamwear needs. For club inquiries or online shopping, head to macronstoreadelaide.com.au and get ahead of the game and get ready for next season. And in the lead up to the World Cup, I have got some great guests lined up to get us all in the mood for the World Cup. Very lucky to be joined today by a former Matilda, played 86 games for the national team and also captain Adelaide United in their first season. I am joined by Alagich. Thank you for joining me, Di.
Hey Johnny, thanks for having me on your show. I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
I'm very thankful to have you on. Everyone that knows South Australian football will know the Alagich name. It's a big name, not only from your part, but also your brother, now your nephew, and also your dad and grandfather. It goes a long way in South Australian football.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky to be born into that stock. But we've done some things in football and we're staying in the game as well. Like I now do some coaching, and obviously Richie coaches, and my grandfather was in administration, and now we get the pleasure of watching Ethan run around Cooper Stadium.
That would be pretty cool to see your nephew keeping that name going as well.
Oh, it's unreal, but I still look at him as like a little kid. So yeah, it's hard to see a grown man out there now running around on the field.
Well, it's incredible to see, and I know a lot of people in South Australia love seeing that name running out there and representing the club again for the third time in the club's history. But I want to talk about your story as well. We're going to talk about your family a bit later on, but your story goes back all the way to when you were 7, when you first started. You've now gone on to have some incredible achievements in your own career, but where it all started, 7 years old at school, and you mentioned in an article recently how there was no female teams at that age, and you had to play all boys. And this seems like the story that everyone has around your age that have played and started football around the same time. What was it like for you to find to have to go that path and play boys football at that age?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, from a very early age, I had, 4 brothers, and I was just always in the backyard kicking the ball around with them. So to then, go into, it was Ethelton Primary School where I first played in under sevens, and, it was all boys, and it didn't faze me at all. I just loved playing, and it could have been girls, could have been boys. It wouldn't matter. It was just when you're on that football field, you just in love when you're just playing, and you're in your sort of happy space. And it was sort of natural progression to play at the Port Adelaide Soccer Club. And again, there was no other girls playing. I didn't even actually see any other females playing the game. So I guess I didn't know any different. So it didn't faze me at all. And I think when I was sort of 9 or 10, I sort of understood a little bit more how it made people feel a bit uncomfortable, I guess, that I was out on the field and probably beating some of their sons. So I don't think they liked that too much. But no, I just enjoyed being out there, so it didn't matter who I played against.
Yeah, because you're playing from under 10s with at Port Adelaide. Were your brothers in the team at that time as well?
They were all playing at the club, but not in the same age group as me. My youngest brother was a year younger than me, and then I've got 3 older brothers. So they're all playing at the club at the same time.
Did you find it, like you mentioned about your brothers playing as well? Was that influence? Did it make it easier for you and more natural to go into the playing with the boys? Then you didn't know any different.
Yeah, I think it really did. I mean, you look at nature versus nurture, and I definitely had that pathway sort of chosen for me almost, and definitely having the support of my brothers at the club, and my father and grandfather were heavily involved. So I just felt welcomed, even though maybe it was perceived to be a little bit different, and having a girl play. But I think as soon as they knew I could play, it was okay. It was, game's off. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, your grandfather was chairman and president at the club. Also became a Football South Australia life member years on. How was it always? You were always destined to play at that club? Is that always the case for all of you guys to end up playing there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we lived close by. It was just walking distance, and we only had, one car, and there was, 5 of us. So logistically it was just easy to play there, and
Yeah.
yeah, having family already in administration there, it was, yeah, it just made sense.
Mm.
And it was a good club. It was representing the Port Adelaide area there, so yeah, I think we're always destined to start our careers there.
The what was it like back then playing for that club? It's one of the oldest clubs left in the state. But what was it like the culture at the club when you were there at your time?
Yeah, it was a really strong family kind of club, and I don't feel like I've really ever been involved in a club that has that sort of culture and has that family feel about it. We had, we'd be there Saturday all day from, from us playing, watching the under 19s. We'd watch the Bs and watch the A
Mm.
team, and I just remember, like, if the A team lost, like the equivalent of the NPL now, if they lost, my dad would be upset and my grandfather would be upset, and people would be just go and drink their sorrows at the bar, and
Yep.
talk about how they could improve. And yeah, so I just sort of grew up in that culture of yeah, just surrounding yourself with football, and talking about it, and just having that sort of, that community connection through our football.
Do you remember much of your dad's playing days? 300 games for Port Adelaide, or 300 plus games for Port Adelaide in his career. Do you remember much of it when he was playing when you were a kid, or not really?
No, I think he sort of retired around the time I was born. So
Yep.
yeah, I have no recollection of him playing. I do recall him coaching though.
Yeah.
So yeah, coaching was quite stressful as it is, and so yeah, I have memories of him being quite frustrated. But yeah, he certainly loved to coach, and especially coaching. Yeah, he coached Richie, Kerry, and Chris. So yeah, he definitely enjoyed having that influence in the coaching aspect of the game.
Well, you had a great seat to see what it was like because I've heard a lot of stories when you see fathers coaching their sons. Was there any interesting moments when you from witnessing as a kid of how your dad coached his kids?
Yeah, he was very hard.
Was he?
he, yeah, he was very hard on us. So it was hard to get a compliment off him, but yeah, he made sure that he was very fair, and obviously tried not to favour us and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But I actually remember one game. I think I was playing. It was maybe under 17s, and I got quite a bad tackle put on me, and I remember him jumping the fence and yeah, telling this guy off. And I think that was probably my last game that I played in the men's competition, because at that stage I was getting a little bit too physical, and yeah, it wasn't good for Dad's blood pressure, I don't think.
What was he like to help you? Was he very helpful on the side after the games to be able to tell you what to do and give you advice?
Yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's nice to actually talk about this, because I have such fond memories of walking home from the game, and we'd always just talk about the game. And he was just very honest in his assessment of how I was playing, and whether it was a good or bad game. He was, just very honest,
Yeah.
and I just really loved his feedback. And yeah, I'd also go down the oval with him, most afternoons, and we'd just be kicking the ball around and working on first touch and things like that. And I just sort of, yeah, cherish those
Yeah.
moments that we had as a young kid.
Now looking back, like you're obviously playing with you had to play with the boys back then. It's a little bit different now for female footballers. But would you have changed that for you? Because you obviously got to spend a lot of time with your family and your brothers and also your dad at the club.
No, not at all. I wouldn't change anything. I think it sort of made me the player I was. I really had to be physical, had to have a physical game. And I think that's was one of my strengths when I went on to play against females. I was a lot stronger than the other women.
Mm.
Um, yeah, the pace of the game's different when you're playing against boys, and yeah, I definitely wouldn't change it at all. And I know Charlie Grant, who's now playing the Matildas, and she's gone down the same path. And playing against the boys, I think makes you a better player.
Mm.
I encourage girls to play in girls teams, but I really think it gives you the edge over your female competitors.
Would you still? So you obviously would recommend that still to this day, or
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you want to play against the boys, I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I encourage just to play in a competition that you love playing in, I know a lot of girls like to play with their mates, and that's great. And but there's other girls that probably want to elevate themselves, and I think that's a really good idea to play against better players.
Well, the club Port Adelaide was obviously a big part of your family, but it became another club became a big part of the Alagich name as well with Adelaide United. Your brother played for them. You ended up playing in the first season of the women's team as well. How did that feel to come home and basically end your career at Adelaide United and be able to captain the club?
Yeah, you become really reflective after you retire, and to be honest, that was probably one of the better moments I've had in my career to end at Adelaide United. I still to this day am so honoured that I got to play at that club. I just remember the first meeting I had. It was Michael Petrillo, and we sat down, and he just went through what the club believed was important, and they always wanted women involved, and it wasn't just, oh, we've got to have women. That they saw the bigger picture, and it's just a very inclusive club. And yeah, as I said, it was just amazing to be part of it. I played professionally in America, so I lucky enough to play professionally, but I never really got the chance to play on home soil much. Matildas, we played in the 2006 Asia Cup, so I was lucky enough to play as a Matilda in Adelaide, but that was sort of my first chance to really play, as a professional athlete. Not professional in the terms of money, but part of that first professional women's W League. And then also, I know it's very special to Richie as well because he was considering. I only just found this out a couple of weeks ago. Richie was going to retire when Adelaide United,
Yep.
as they say. Yeah, so it's special that he was able to end his career at the club, and yeah, I feel the same way that I was able to play a season, and to be honest, I probably suffered through that season. I needed knee surgery from like the second week, so lucky the season was only 10 weeks
Yep.
because I barely made it through, but yeah, I wanted to more than anything.
Well, did you ever have the conversation when you told your brother about your signing for the club that he ended his career at?
Oh yeah, yeah, I mean, we always chatted a lot about football, and still do now. But I mean, he was the assistant coach that year as well, so it made it even greater, to be
Yeah.
honest. That I could be a member of the club, I could captain the team, and also play
Mm.
under his guidance as well. So it was pretty special.
What was it like for your family to see, especially with him as your assistant coach as well? Like, what was it like for the family to be able to see you play at home for the home side, also your brother there as well alongside you?
Yeah, I think it was really special because I'd been away from Adelaide for quite a long time, and to come back home and to be able to play in front of mum and dad, and I still remember Ethan would come onto the field after the game had finished, and he was only seemed like a toddler then. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just nice to be able to do that. I know that I sort of felt like I always wanted to have my children see me play, and never quite got there with that, but it was sort of as close as I could get, having the nieces and nephews there watching me
Yeah.
play. So it was brilliant.
What was it like having him there watching and then a few years later, well, feels like a few years later, it's gone that quick.
Yeah.
He's now putting on his own jersey that says Alagich on the back of it as well.
Yeah, it's incredible, and I get nervous watching him play, and yeah, it's given me a real rejuvenated look at the A League as well, and I love watching him play. I'm so so proud of him, and yeah, I actually love watching Adelaide play. They're such a great team, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that much more special when you've got a family member out on the field.
Did he ever speak to you about that moment as well? About representing the club and being one of the first father son duos as well was pretty big.
Yeah, not specifically about that. I don't. Yeah, I think other people build it up to be.
Yeah.
It is a special thing, but it's he's just gone down his own path
Yep.
without thinking I need to do it for that achievement or
Mm.
anything. But yeah, I mean, I spoke to him after he played his first game, and he was pretty blown away, and yeah, he's a pretty happy boy.
I can imagine, and the family would have been just as proud. Richie's a very quiet and humble guy. Did he ever talk to you about seeing his son play as well, or not really?
He does, yeah, he's a quiet guy, so he doesn't give me much, but yeah, I know how proud he is, and
Mm.
even his mum Melissa, she's yeah, I just know how proud they are, and yeah, I know deep down Richie's super proud, and yeah, when we have a few beers, it comes out a little bit more, but yeah,
Oh, is that the secret? Is it?
yeah.
Because yeah, we'll see him around obviously in South Australia coaching, and he's always very, very humble and very quiet. It's is that a family trait of yours to be like that?
Yeah, I guess so. I just, yeah, yeah, I guess we're pretty grounded, and yeah, it's the way we grew up, and yeah, I guess so.
Well, talking about the family name living on, we all mentioned it's obviously, as you did say, it doesn't not really a big thought for you guys, but for the public and media, obviously highlighted a lot about the Alagich family living through Ethan. But you're also now the women's team. There's an award named after you now. So the awards night is named after Vidmar Alagich Awards Night. That is always going to live on in the club's history now. How for you? What was that feeling like to see that your name is going to be represented there for a long time?
Yeah, to be honest, I still can't believe it. Yeah, I'm still blown away. It's just incredible, and it's just such an honor, really. It's yeah, to be honest, I'm really stuck for words about how much it actually means to me, to have that award named after me, and yeah, I really I really am stuck for words. It's a huge honor, and um, yeah, just so grateful, and appreciate it so much.
You probably never thought about getting that kind of recognition after you retired?
Yeah, not at all. I just, yeah, when you
Yeah.
retire, and yeah, I never played the game for any sort of accolades or awards or anything like that. I just played because I loved it, and anything else was a bonus, you know. So yeah, I never sort of dreamt about it or anything like that. It was just something that was, that happened, and it was, yeah, a really nice thing.
The club ever speak to you about their thoughts on doing that?
Not really. They just sort of told me that that's
Yeah.
what they were going to do. So yeah, Nathan Cosmina got in touch with me, and obviously, yeah, accepted straight away. And yeah, I guess just recognizing the inaugural captain, and
Mm.
yeah.
Your playing career is you've got a great playing career. Also, finishing off at Adelaide United is a very touching way now to end your professional career. But the big one is what I want to talk about is this year is highlights a massive occasion for Australian football. We've got the Women's World Cup on home soil. You've been capped 86 times for the Matildas in your career. That's a massive achievement for a South Australian footballer to be able to represent the country that many times. It all began for you when you were 16. Your debut against Norway in 1995. It's a year after I was born. How was that for you to be able to make that achievement at that young age as well?
Thanks for making me feel old.
Sorry about that.
No, it was so incredible. I just ever since I was a little girl, I just wanted to play for my country, and I didn't even know about the national team. That's was my dream.
Yeah.
So to live that at such a young age was incredible. And Norway had just won the World Cup, so they were reigning world champions. And I was just a young girl. Just I didn't even know what I was doing. I just ran on that field and just played my heart out. But yeah, it was incredible. I'd sort of progressed through the junior ranks, played for the under 16 national team, and then the under 19s, and I got called up pretty quickly from those tournaments to get my first cap. So yeah, it just all happened really quickly, actually. And I guess when you're that young, you're not really processing too much either. So I think that's sometimes a good thing when you're
Mm.
you're so young, and you don't have any fear. You just, yeah, I'm going to go get it. So
Well,
yeah.
there was one quote I saw you mentioned in the In Daily article recently. It said, "I wanted to be a Socceroo because I didn't even know there was a women's national team." reading that and thinking about what's about to happen in Australia like this year with the World Cup being on home soil and how well talked about it is, and the Matildas and well known some of these players are. How do you feel thinking about that quote and how far football's come since you represented the country? The country.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I keep bumping into the Matildas everywhere you look. There's Matildas on a billboard or
Yeah.
a news agency, and I'm just like I'm still blown away by how popular it is now. And I guess we always talked about it back in the day. We're like, one day this is going to happen. Like we sort of always believed it,
Mm.
but yeah, I'm just blown away because I even know back from the '99 World Cup when it took off in the USA, and they had 80,000 at the final, and USA won the final, and just the impact of having that many people come to the games and watch the US team play and what they could produce. And I know it's, like we're looking 23 years on, and that's not a big time difference, like
Mm.
it's pretty short time. The fact that no one even knew. I hardly knew about the Matildas, and yet now here we are in 2023, about to have a home World Cup where it's just the talk of the town. It's Sam Kerr is she's on everything. She's won
Yeah.
everything, and yeah, I mean, can you imagine if she brought home the World Cup to Australia? It'd just
Oh.
be insane.
Yeah, it would be incredible if that could happen. And I was talking to other Matildas, former Matildas as well, and it just how big it's become in over the years is incredible. How do you find it? The way it is now, but you were there for a long time as well, so you saw a lot of change. I'm assuming through that period. What were some of those changes you noticed from when you started to when you finished with the Matildas?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see some of those changes, which is good. I actually would love to talk to someone like Claire Polkinghorne, who has been there like for a long time
Yeah,
and seen the whole sort of change. But yeah, I still remember the first tour. Like we didn't have training strips or anything like that. We had oversized men's like Socceroos strips that we'd
yeah,
wear, and we'd have to hand back. And the funding was so limited, and certainly didn't get paid. And um, yeah, it just wasn't professional at all. It was very amateur, and you'd barely play an international game. There was some years we didn't played one or two internationals. So just the amount that the girls get to play now, and the quality of opposition that they play. Yeah, it's just incredible the difference from even from the start of my career to when I retired. I still remember after the World Cup in 2007. That's when we made the quarters for the first time, and that's when I think the momentum really started to change for the Matildas in Australia. I think doing so well at that tournament really made people sort of stand up and go, oh, who are the Matildas now? Like I
yeah,
remember being over in China, and my work colleagues would be watching a game at a pub, and everyone's talking about the Matildas in the pubs and things like that. So I think that was sort of the start of something, and that ball started getting rolling then. And since then we've had some really good results, and yeah, last 10 years we've really progressed, and now all the girls are playing professionally overseas. And yeah, so where we are now, even in the last 10 years is incredible.
how to make you feel having to like the things you had to go through with like wearing those jerseys that were not obviously yours. How does that make you feel, and how does that affect your confidence going out to play and represent?
Yeah, it all makes a difference. But if I'm really honest, I didn't care. I was just so happy to put that shirt on
Yeah,
me and have the coat of arms there. I'm like, it could have been, men's extra large. It just didn't matter. It's just the fact that I was representing my country. I got to play football, and that's really all that
yeah,
mattered. Like I know I can see now that having perfectly fitted strips and
mm,
boots for women, and how that can increase everyone's confidence, and adds to another dimension of the game. But I guess when you strip all that back, you're still just playing football and
mm.
loving it.
Absolutely. Well, you look at it now. You go into the sport, and you got now women's cuts, men's cuts of these jerseys for Matildas, the Matildas jersey, which is not normally what we normally see when we go to the shops to buy a jersey, which is cool.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Mm.
I've been to Rebel just to check it out, and I've bought a couple of items over the last couple of weeks in preparation for the World Cup. So, yeah, it's just awesome that any girl or boy can walk into a shop and support their favourite player.
Mm.
We never had we could never do that back in the day, and yeah, it's just really nice. It's a really nice change, and um, I think especially for little girls being able to support their favourite players and have someone to look up to and someone to be like, and um, yeah, if anything, it's amazing for those little girls that are aspiring to be a Matilda.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool to see and have that for them as well. And well, we talk about you represent the Matildas, but you're not the first one in your family. Your uncle Joe played for the Socceroos as well. How was that to have like another Australian representative in the club in the family?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like to be honest, I didn't have too much to do with him, but I know through because he was living in Sydney. But
Yep.
yeah, it was nice to know that football was basically in our blood,
Mm.
and yeah, I know there were so many conversations around football, and it got quite political at times. But yeah, it's just nice to know that your family member had done really well, and yeah, you kind of just realize that it is in your blood, and that's probably perhaps the reason I got to where I did as well.
2000, the Olympics, that would have been pretty special for you to play in Australia, where your family, your friends could all come and watch. How was that for you to be able to play in the Olympics and represent Australia with your family and your friends all be able to attend?
Yeah, the Olympics are just yeah, they that was a dream come true from a little girl. I still remember I used to do calisthenics. My mum made me do calisthenics to do like a sort of girly sport. And we had an end of year dance, and we could be whatever we wanted to be in that dance. And so I said, Mum, you need to make me like a Socceroos jersey. So she made me this little jersey, and
That's
I wore
cool.
it for the dance recital. But yeah, Olympics ever since I was a little girl. I think my dad had filmed like the Moscow Olympics 1980, and I remember watching that as like a 3 or 4 year old, and I was like, oh, I want to go and do that. I want to be at the Olympics. um, so to have a home Olympics as my first Olympics was, yeah, it was insane. It was yeah, it was something else, and just having all my family there watching, and yeah, my dad was there in the opening ceremony, and my mum travelled around, watched all the games, and yeah, it was just yeah, it was it was unbelievable. And we'd had a base in Canberra, and we played our first game at the Bruce Stadium. So it was pretty special to play in Canberra. And then yeah, then we moved to Sydney and played 2 games in Sydney. So it was yeah, just one of those things that you'll never forget, and
Yeah.
you just forever be grateful that you're able to call yourself an Olympian and be part of that movement.
Yeah, it's incredible. And especially an Olympian at your home country as well. The What was the conversations like with your family once you did it, or even before when you got the call up? What were they like with you telling them about it all?
Yeah, I had been in and out of the team. Actually, we had Um, I just missed selection for the tour before that, and yeah, so I'd been injured as well. I never at one stage ever thought I was a certainty. So yeah, to get the call and to be told that you're going to be going to the Olympics was yeah, it was just such an amazing feeling, and to be able to share that with my family, because at the end of the day, your family are there for the highs and the lows, and they certainly helped me through the lows of injuries and non-selection. So to be able to give them that good news was, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Talking about injuries, well, you suffered ACL injuries. What was that like to have to go through that kind of um, rehabilitation or that process and not knowing the future of your career?
Yeah, it was really tough because I first did my ACL when it was my first ever starting 11 spot, and Matildas were playing in New Zealand. I ruptured it 20 minutes into the game. So yeah, it was pretty devastating. My first ever starting 11, and then yeah, torn ACL, and I think I was only 17 years old, so I didn't really understand the seriousness of the injury because I'd never really been injured
Mm.
before, and yeah, to be given the news that you're going to be out for 6 months was, yeah, it was devastating as a kid. And yeah, the rehab was hard. It's a hard injury to come back from, um, and I think I sort of pushed it a little bit too hard as well. I didn't really, yeah, I didn't sort of. I just wanted to get back playing, and sort of sacrifice my body a bit there. But I ended up having to have surgery again, not an ACL, but to fix it up. So I was out of the game for about a year, that first ACL. And I actually did my second ACL when it was my first ever season playing professionally in America.
Yep.
I think I was only 6 games in when I tore it. So, yeah, really, really bad times to tear it. I mean, I don't think there's ever a good time to get an injury, but yeah, it's just really hard to come back from. But I think it really shows you how much you want it, and it rejuvenates your passion for the game as well. And you're able to work on other things. So you've got that time to put aside and maybe work on the mental aspect of your game or get fitter. You know, I swam a lot. So, you know, there's always things that you can work on outside of, you know, the
Mm.
actual game. So, you know, you've just always got to see it as, yeah, it sucks at the time, but yeah, there's other ways you can improve and get back even stronger.
It's never great to have injuries like that in your career, but at least you managed to get through it, and the support of your family, was that a big thing for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, as I said before, they're there for the good times and there for the bad times as well. So my mum, she took me to, you know, every physio appointment, getting my knee right again. So, you know, I owe her so much for dropping me at the physio every day. And yeah, they just, yeah, they're just there to pick you up whenever you need it. So without them, I wouldn't have made it where I did.
Unfortunately, that is the end of part one. But here's a quick sneak peek of what to expect in part two.
Bruce McAvaney was one of the inductees too, and
That's cool.
ironically now he's going to be commentating the World Cup. So I can't wait to hear him call the games.
Did you get to chat with him on the night?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, he's an impressive human, and yeah, as I said, I'm looking forward to hearing him call the games because he's an absolute professional, and yeah, definitely wanted to get some advice off me about, you know, the game and yeah, my perspective of it too. So it was nice to have a chat with him. Yeah, I think we definitely need more female coaches. 100% definitely need more. I feel like now coaching is I'm back where I was
Yeah.
playing days. You're sort of very, I don't know, almost isolated being a female coach. I think it's a long way to go before there's female coaches coaching regularly in men's teams.
That's all for part one on Kicking It Local with Alagich. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon.